Hey guys, what's up? There are only two here to do another Kindred replay review. And our Kindred player today is actually a Rioter, surprisingly enough, Riot Bard. And he's going to play Kindred today and we're going to take a look. Now the first thing I noticed right away was the Strength of the Ages as the Keystone Mastery. And while this isn't completely horrible, currently the preferred mastery to take is Fervor of Battle. Simply because on Kindred you're going to build a lot of attack speed based items. You're going to build the Blood Razor and probably a Hurricane and maybe even other attack speed based items like the Yomu's active, Morpheus, which has the passive that activates attack speed, and so on. So you have a lot of attack speed, and obviously this scales really well with the Fervor of Battle mastery. So yeah, that's probably the most ideal mastery to take. Also, Hunter's Machete. On Kindred, the better item to take that allows you to have a lot more healthy clears is Hunter's Talisman and not Hunter's Machete. And you can also take the refillable potion instead of the health pot in order to and then you can have activated on your next clear. So it's just a really efficient item to get the refillable potion because you don't have to rebuy it every time you clear. Also, again, we really see here there's not enough kiting going on. You basically want to always exactly like this, but you need to keep it up the entire time. And basically, you only want to take a hit from blue buff every 5 seconds or so. The rest of the time you want to be completely outside of his range and just kite him all the time. You're also going to have a lot more HP if you go with the Hunter's Talisman. We see you're currently only at your 3rd camp and you're already completely running out of potions. Another reason why you want to constantly kite is that it stacks your W a lot faster. So that's also going to help you stay alive more. So just take down the first 3 camps and then go to take your mark since one of the Scarrow Trap close to you. Good idea. Again here, I actually have another video that I made today on my channel where I show how to kind of manipulate the Scuttle Crab AI so it stays inside of your W a lot longer, so it's easier to take down Scuttle Crab. Going for level 3 gank is an okay idea, but especially since this wave is pushing in, and but you have to be kind of careful because, or not careful, but it's a bit unlikely that this really works out well, because Ilaoi has no CC to help you, she's also pretty low, and Lissandra has her E to escape. You're also kind of making it obvious if you're marking her like that, so I wonder if she's just gonna run away. Okay, she didn't really run away, so okay. So this is, I guess it worked out. In this case, you did a lot of damage. But usually, usually you would expect the opponent to kind of back off as soon as you mark them. But overall, solid gank, so you can just continue to clear the rest of your jungle. So just fast forward a bit to it. Just kind of again, you're standing still way too much. You're basically only moving when you're using your W. That's not something when you're using your Q, sorry, and that's not something you want to do. Skirmisher Saber, good. Boots. You can kind of choose between boots or if you want to buy a dagger. I usually prefer the dagger just to get your jungle item a lot faster. It's not 100% wrong. So this is a good gank. Saw that Yasuo was playing aggressive on the Annie. Something you can always look out for. If a laner is playing aggressive the entire time, especially if it's an assassin, like for example, or not really assassin, but fighter who wants to kill your laner, you can take advantage of that. Here in this case, when you're low on mana, it's more efficient to use your W and not your E. Your W deals a lot more damage to the camp. Sure, maybe your W was on cooldown. But usually the W is the most mana efficient spell. And later on when you're jungling, the early Berserker Screech is not something that I really agree with. You're spending a lot of gold, and you're not really you're not really working towards your jungle item, which is a pretty big power spike for you. You're also not really... Be careful about leashing the Rift Herald. But getting the Berserker Speed this early is kind of an odd choice, because you're spending a lot of gold just on not really combat stats, you're spending a lot of gold on movement speed. So I don't know about this. I would prefer to just kind of rush the jungle item and then get the... also you probably want to get the mobility boost. So again, see the opportunity to go for a gank here. Again, you want to be constantly kiting, you don't want to stand still between auto attacks. In this case, for example, you could have auto attacked and then ran a bit further this way and auto attacked again, and just keep this up, because you kind of want to cut off the enemy's way. In this case, it obviously doesn't matter, you still got them and it was a nice double kill, but there are other situations where it would work that way. Again, you're just standing still, you need to kite, you need to constantly, you need to always be kiting. It kind of needs to be the second nature. You need to always, every time, there's no reason ever not to kite, especially on a champion like Kindred, where kiting fills up your W and your healing a lot faster. The reason you're also losing a bit of HP in the jungle, I mean, you've reached it now. It was a misclick, but you use your E on the can minion. I think it was a misclick, but you still got him. So it's fine, I guess. But again, it's just kind of have to watch out for that, obviously. So don't get the Berserker Greaves. Instead, usually you want to go for the mobility boots, especially when the enemy team has a lot of slows. In this case, they don't have that many slows, but it's still worth it. Morgana ult slows, Sandra also has a slow, Lee Sin as well, Jhin. So it really would be a good idea to get them. So let's see how this fight goes, with the Jhin goes. Again, kite. Yeah, there's not much. I mean, I guess you kind of just ran towards the Jhin. You could have also instead just ran out of his ult range. Well, the edge was right here, and then could have just taken him down from the side. Instead, you kind of just tanked all the bullets and ran a straight line at him. Would probably be a better idea to just play that more safe. Again, take down the mark. Also, because you can see the Lee Sin here, it's kind of safe to just go at the mark quickly. Should pay attention when you smite the Wraiths. You obviously get the buff, the Razor Sharp buff. The magical side that activates when you're near ward, so you should pay attention to that and go there in time. Maybe you also just wanted to run bot as fast as possible. If that's the case, then it's obviously fine. So your team got a few kills here, so obviously you can just take down the free break. Again, kiting. If you're kited properly there, obviously you can't kind of kite the damage from the dragon, because it's ranged, but if you kite, you still proc your W a lot faster, your Hunter's Vigor, and obviously that heals you, so you have a lot more HP at your disposal. And this obviously also helps in fights, and again, against melees especially, it's obviously extremely important. It's and you can't just rely on your Q to kite, you need to also kite with your auto attacks. So, that fight, I think there's not that much you could have done differently. Let's take a look at it again. So you find the Lee Sin here. Another thing is, you see Lee Sin coming into the brush here, and you immediately use your E on him. Look at this again. So, you immediately use your E on him. Instead you should auto attack, then use your E, because your E is an auto attack reset, and then use your E. So auto attack, E, auto attack. Was a good ultimate. You stopped the execute from the Lee Sin, so that was good. And here's kind of the situation where there's really not that much you can do, because they have some really strong ultimates to just lock down a single target, and they use it all on you. And you also see the Yasuo coming, I think, in a few seconds. You see a spot him with this ward. So it's the better idea to just run away. But again, you should have used your auto-attack, then eat to auto-attack reset, and then afterwards you should have kept kiting, so you don't let the Lee Sin run as far away from you, so you can keep auto-attacking him. So let's keep watching. So you just run away. In this case, it's the best idea. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that you got killed by the Lee Sin. Obviously, you could have tried to dodge the Q, but I mean, kind of. That's something I think you already know, and that you shouldn't get hit by skill shots. And it's obviously not always possible to dodge, and can be kind of hard. Also here, the Annie traded it anyways. Against champions with strong skill shots like Lee Sin, you can also try to save your Q and then use it to dodge the ability. And instead of using it for mobility, that makes it a bit safer for you. So, you're looking to dive bot, I think. I don't know if you know that the Lee Sin is here. Okay, so you go into counter gank here, and obviously kind of the whole situation is already over because Nami already got killed. So again, there's not that much that you could have done to save her here. But you should notice that bot lane is kind of in a tight spot at the moment. So we see that Lee Sin is ganking bot a lot, and that your Draven is already pretty fed. So it should be kind of your goal to go and counter gank bot lane. Draven is going pretty going off here. He already got 6 kills and got a Bloodthirster, so it's pretty fed. We're getting kill number 6, yeah, very nice. So he's really fed in this game, and you should kind of try to play around that, try to take objectives together with him, and stop Lee Sin, who's also pretty fed, from destroying your Draven. So because as Kindred, you're also pretty fed, but as Kindred, you can kind of play just as peel for your AD carry. You can use your ultimate to save him, and you obviously also deal a lot of damage to tanks due to your passive. And you can use your E to peel for them. So that's kind of the job you have to do in some of these games where your AD carry is very fed. In this case, you're fed as well, so works out. Yeah, you have to be kind of. It worked out in this case, but you have to be kind of careful with the ultimate. Maybe you could have just used the ultimate in a different spot. So in this case, if you look at it again, we go back a bit further. I think that was a bit too far. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a quick look at that again. Okay, so the Lissandra is obviously 1v2 here, so you can pretty easily take her down. You have to obviously always be careful what you do with your ultimate, because you don't want to save the enemy team accidentally. So in this case, instead of ulting right here, when you were snared, you could have waited a bit. You still have enough HP left, and just jumped back here or gone a bit further away, so Lissandra isn't in the radius of your ultimate, and then simply used your ult, and then also tanked the turret together with your ultimate. So Annie can just finish off the Lissandra. Obviously it worked out in this case, but ideally, if you have the opportunity to, you obviously want to use your ult in a spot where only you get healed by it. Was also pretty close with the tower shot. Where obviously you want to use your ultimate in a spot where only you get healed by it, and the enemy team doesn't get the effect. And obviously that's not always possible, but in this case it was. It would have been a good idea. I like the item build. The Hurricane is a very good second item, and especially in this case, the enemy team kind of has they have some magic damage with Lissandra and Morgana, but the Lissandra is 1 and 3, and Morgana is the support and 2 and 4. So getting more isn't your number 1 priority. So it's a good idea to get the rune on Hurricane. They're also not extremely squishy, so it's probably not worth it, or it might not be worth it to get the Yomus, especially even though you're fed. But that would have been another fine option. I personally prefer the Hurricane, also for the wave clear, but it's kind of a subjective matter. Not at all. Yeah. So you can try to cut off the Sin here. Join the fight here again. You could probably just use your Q to jump over this wall, and then you could have thought about flashing over this wall to get the Lee Sin. Probably was a bit greedy to flash after Lee Sin here because it was really risky. Oh, you dive out. Oh yeah, ult is still on cooldown. Kind of got caught. Well, obviously a bad idea to go into that spot against the Morgana, especially with your ultimate up. You have to play pretty careful. It's also kind of a result of using your flash after the Lee Sin here in a situation where it was pretty unlikely to actually kill the Lee Sin, especially because Lee Sin is extremely mobile with his ward jumps, which is also how he got away. So if you saved your flash, you might have been able to survive this here. So I think you're probably going for a. I'm assuming this is going to be a Blade of the Rune King. In a situation like this, I'm not a very big fan, because when we look at the enemy team, we don't really have that much HP stacking going on. So it's kind of debatable. Might be a better idea to just get a Yomus or a Maw. Because if you die, it's still probably... sorry about that, I missed this fight. So if you die, it's probably still going to be due to getting hit by some kind of magic damage. For example, getting Lissandra ulted or something to that extent. So that makes Maw a very good idea, even if the enemy team isn't super heavy on AP. They still have 2 AP carries, Lissandra and Morgana, so that makes Maw a really good item anyways. It also offers some armor penetration, so the item is very good on Kindred overall. So, kind of missed this fight here, so let's take a look at that again. So, running down the river where the enemy team is here, we kind of always take a note of where the enemy team is kind of standing, especially in a situation like this. When you're coming from the flank, as Kindred, you generally don't want to be the one flanking, because the enemy team can take you down really quickly if you make a small mistake. So it might be smarter to just, especially if you see the enemy team going missing in mid, it might be a better idea to just run this way and be completely safe and just help your team here and go into the back line. Okay. Again, auto attack, auto attack. It deals a lot more burst damage because it resets your auto attack. And it's basically a free auto attack, and just one free auto attack to get in. Obviously, that's something you want, so you could always go for that. So your ulting time, this kind of the strength of Lee Sin, he can kick you out of your ult, but usually here you can just jump back in. So. But again, this kind of the situation where you simply got caught. Your team was under the turret and trying to defend it, and you were coming from the river over here, but you don't want to flank. Your plan was probably just to go this way anyways, and to go back down here, so you could have just taken the longer road, go the scenic route, and go all the way around instead of going through the river and risking it. So, let's see what your team does. So, again, just going to fast forward to the portions where you're dead or just farming, because the main focus of this video is obviously to see what you could have done differently and not what your team could have done differently, because what your team does is not something you can influence in your games. The ideal goal is obviously for you to improve at the game and not to say what your team did wrong. But of course, you also have to accept that there are simply some games that are kind of unwinnable, where your team is just kind of too bad in some situations. Or for example, if someone on your team is intentionally feeding, then it's very unlikely that you're going to win. But that's not the main point. The main point is just to improve and play at a generally good and high level, and then over time you rise in the ranks. Again, kind of in the late game, these marks can be kind of dangerous, especially if all the enemies are missing. You can kind of always be a bit safer if you just pull the Gromp over here. Let's see if you do that. Yeah, you can kind of pull the Gromp over here and then just run over the wall. So it might work out, but it's still kind of risky, and you have to ask yourself how worth it really is. Yeah, you didn't get the mark at the listen out smite view, but in this situation again it was pretty risky to go for that, especially at 25 minutes or 24 minutes, where if you die, especially if the jungler dies, then there's a pretty good likelihood that the enemy can just take down Baron or push an inhib. So we kind of always be aware of that when you take down your mark. You're also kind of low on marks. In this case, it's just 4. So it could have been some stuff you could have done better with your marks. Usually, you simply want to mark people that you've already ganked and that you know don't have flash up, or that you know are playing very aggressively, so you can take advantage of that. So let's take a look at this team fight here. So already starts off with your team getting a pick. You're kind of low from the poke. Yeah, it's a fine idea. You kind of this was a very nice ultimate. You kind of mitigated. You kind of mitigated the Yasuo and the Jhin damage, and you're using your ultimate to just block Jhin damage is also a very fine use of it. So you can just you're too low to help them push here, so that's fine. You should probably just go take the Drake, which is what you're going to do here. So that's a good idea. Since you're too low to really help your teammate out in the push, you can just take the Drake kind of on the sideline. So you're still working on your Blade of the Rune King, probably. Yeah, this is kind of a situation where you kind of overstayed. Again, this might work out, but this was really not a spot where you should have been. After taking the Drake, it was already very risky to go bot to push the wave. It was kind of greedy. But then staying even longer than just auto taking the wave and quickly clearing it and staying for more made the play very greedy, and you didn't really pay the price for it, but you kind of baited your team into this whole situation. Again, the Blade of the Rune King is not a bad item in this case, but since the enemy team is really not stacking any HP, Yasuo only has the Triforce for the 250 health. And the only one who's really tanky is Lee Sin. So it's kind of questionable if you really want to build a Blade of the Rune King off of that. Blade of the Rune King is still a good item on Kindred, simply because you have so much attack speed anyways. Yeah, you have to be a bit more careful when you just... if we look at this quickly again, we see you're kind of just running at the enemy team. And you have to be a lot more careful on Kindred because you are pretty squishy. I mean, you even have the extra 300 health from the Strength of the Ages. So you're already a bit tankier than you usually would be if you took the Fervor of Battle. So Fervor of Battle is still a very good idea, or better idea to take, because the damage increase you get is extremely high. But if we look at this, you go in and you can just kind of run at them in a straight line, and especially against champions like Jhin and Morgana. Obviously Jhin Morgana is an extremely strong combo, but this is another situation where you should probably just save your Q or use your W to get a lower Q cooldown, so you can dodge these abilities. Also, I'm not sure if this ultimate was necessary. I mean, you had quite a lot of HP left. You were ignited, but I mean, we see here the invulnerable statement that kind of shows you when you've reached the lowest point. It was only came up near the end of your ultimate, so you probably would have survived without using it. Using Kindred ultimate completely 100% effectively is obviously very hard, because you have to correctly estimate whether you're going to survive, whether you're going to help the enemy team more than your own team by ulting. But in this case, you kind of have to be aware of the enemy's cooldowns again. So in the case of Morgana, she used her Q already, and she used her W on you. Okay. Okay. So for example, it would have been good if you had the ultimate up for your teammate in this case. Could have maybe dashed. I don't know. I'm not sure. You could have maybe dashed in to kill the Lysandra. You probably would have died for it. That might not have been worth it. Again, it's usually just a good idea to kind of help your teammate out, to help, especially if, since the Draven is really fat. He got 11 kills. So yeah, again, more. That's another reason why you want to kite. When you're kiting, you're not standing still in the same spot for so long. Basically, during the time you auto attack Morgana, you were just standing still, and this gave Jhin time to hit two very easy ultimate shots on you, and especially the fourth shot is something you really want to dodge. Again, kind of be aware, especially in late game team fights. Kindred's Q is not really your most efficient damaging tool. You have to remember, you have about 100 attack damage. It's not very much, but we add onto that the 4% of the target's maximum health, and we add onto that your stacking damage. And we get, for example, also here the recurve bow also gives you 15 physical damage on hit. Meanwhile, your Q deals about 200 damage. That means that an auto attack or your Q deal about the same damage. That means it's not really worth it to use Q for the damage. And in the late game, you can save your ultimate and basically use it exclusively to reposition and dodge enemy abilities. And that is again a situation where this would have saved you, as well as with saving your ultimate earlier could have also saved you in this case. So again, team is kind of getting caught here. Annie is trying to defend and you're back up. Okay, so let's see what you do. Take a look here. Okay, so your Annie is getting caught. Okay, let's take a look at that again real quick. So, right here. So Annie is going in. You're respawning now. So, you're running up here. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure, you might have been in range to ult for your Annie. I'm not 100% sure. I think probably not, so maybe. I'm not sure. You were standing here, Annie died here. I think that's not in range. Again, could have tried to save with your ult. Again, this is a case where you used your E on the Yasuo, which was very unnecessary because your E doesn't deal any damage. Your E just marks them, simply. So it would have been a better idea to just auto-attack them in this case, which would have killed him. I mean, obviously he used his wind wall anyways, and he's probably going to die from the Tibbers. But again, there was really no reason to use your E on him, especially since you want to save your E for the upcoming fight. You want to use your E on the Lee Sin still. So you shouldn't waste it on the Yasuo, especially when he's this low and getting killed by Tibbers anyways. Again. You go down without killing anybody on their side, even though the Jhin had 100 HP. I'm very sure that you could have killed at least one of them. Probably a lot more. So if you look at this again. So your Annie dies, so you go in here. So obviously the Jhin dealt a lot of damage to you, but right here. I don't know when you used your W. Again, I'm very sure that you could have killed the Jhin here by auto-attacking him, or at least ulting in time. So, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate, but you definitely could have played it a lot better, and you could have gotten at least one, potentially more, and potentially even survived by using your ultimate. This is again kind of the, if we're using the Riot phrasing that you may be, as a Riot employee, familiar with, if we're using the Riot phrasing of separating the good Kindred players from the great Kindred players, then it's definitely correct use of the ultimate, and using it in basically the perfect way. Okay, this is a really bad play. So this whole extended play is very kind of a big misplay overall. So we start off. Again, what we see kind of is this is a really hard Q to dodge because it's through the wall. But something that I noticed overall is you got caught a lot by the Morgana Qs and the Jhin snares. So that's something you should really watch out for and kind of train or watch out more to dodge all these skill shots, because they've also been a major reason why you've died 6 times getting caught by these skill shots. And then obviously kind of have again here the Jhin. And then again, this is a really bad idea. So especially now. So you already first of all they were miss. So it's already a bad idea to run in this direction. But then you see that Yasuo is actually here and is hitting your Annie. And this just makes it a really bad idea to go in here. You also see Morgana in mid. So going in to save your teammate here is just, especially running this far up. You could have also just gone here and ulted if that was your plan. But you ran all the way here. So you ran so far that Annie isn't even close to you anymore. You also didn't slow the Yasuo. So this is really this is not a good idea. Sometimes you just kind of need to let your teammates die if they're completely out of position and basically unsavable unless you also sacrifice yourself. So kind of all going in here accomplished was also dying with the Annie together. And if you do go in, you kind of want to use your ultimate in a way that, for example, if Annie is standing here, you want to use your ultimate while you're standing here. So she's immediately in range of it, and then you don't have to run as far into the enemy team, and Annie can just run away through your ultimate for a lot longer. So that's kind of the way you want to use it if you have to if you have to make a play like that. So again, see, this game is kind of going to the close, and the main reason for this was also the Lee Sin and also kind of mispositioning, getting caught. There haven't even really been any major real 5 versus 5 team fights. They're kind of more like skirmishes with people getting caught before and after. It's kind of a 4v4 and then turns into a 4v3 and then their backup arrives or something like that. So it's kind of a weird game like that. But again, okay, whoops, sorry about that. I didn't mean to skip this entire fight. So, okay, again, sorry about that. Okay, this is kind of the last team fight coming up here. Okay, so we start off again. You don't know where the entire enemy team is. You know that they're somewhere in this area of the map. Running through your own jungle at this point is extremely risky. You see, your own inhib is already down, so running this way is extremely risky. You should just back off down here, or maybe even go this way, all the way around. There's also no real reason for you to be here at this point, and I think it's going to result in you getting caught. So the Lissandra goes in. And okay, so you go in. The problem with this play is that and then he snipes you. Okay. So the problem with this play is that you kind of you're playing Kindred as if she was a ranged assassin. You're playing as if you were extremely fed, which you are not, and you're playing as if you were Kha'Zix and not Kindred, and you're obviously Kindred and not Kha'Zix. So, because you try to go in here and assassinate the Jhin, especially with Yasuo and Lee Sin standing right next to him. So that's an extremely risky play, and again, as Kindred, you usually, at least in the late game, you want to stay in the back line next to your AD carry and fight the enemy tanks together with him. There are rare situations, obviously, where, especially if you're extremely fed, where you want to go directly at the enemy carries together with your top laner, for example. but these are more rare than the contrary situation where you're just trying to stand in the back line as the carry. And again, another thing again here, you really want to buy at least some kind of defensive item. 90% of the time this defensive item is more. Sometimes you also want to get an item like Randuin's, for example. For example, in this game, Randuin's would have been a really great item instead of the Blade of the Rune King, because you were kind of behind. Your Draven was already really fed, so that you didn't really need to provide the most damage you could. You could also go for a more utility-focused build, especially against their team. You see Yasuo and Jhin, obviously champions that getting a Randuin's against would be a really good idea, which would also help you not getting deleted in these fights. And having to pop your ultimate right at the start, so you can wait for the perfect opportunity to use it and not be forced to use it as soon as you go into the fight. So you really want to play a bit more defensive in these team fights. Also remember, take fervor, and I like the Hurricane second, but it's probably a good idea to get the Maw afterwards. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested in more content like this, then you can subscribe to my channel, and it would be nice if you could leave a like. Have a nice day.